All right, let's dive in and break down one of the most famous troublemakers in all of literature, Tom Sawyer. We're going to get into the boy, the legend, and the rebel who kind of taught us all that sometimes the best adventures happen when you break a few rules.
But first, let's start with a really big question, one that gets right to the heart of Mark Twain's classic. When does being a troublemaker cross over into being courageous? How does a kid who's always pulling pranks somehow become a hero? That's the puzzle we're going to piece together.
And to figure that out, we've got to understand the world Tom lived in, this sleepy little town on the Mississippi River that he seemed absolutely determined to turn completely upside down.
So picture this. We're in St. Petersburg, Missouri, way back before the Civil War. It is the absolute picture of respectability. We're talking white picket fences, church bells on Sunday, and a whole lot of rules about what you're supposed to do. Basically, it's the perfect place for a rebellion to start brewing. Really, the whole story is this constant tug of war. On one side, you've got Tom's world. It's all about freedom, huge adventures, and being loyal to your friends. But on the other side, well, that's the adult world, filled with school, chores, and just doing what you're told. This clash is what fuels pretty much everything Tom does.
So how does a kid like Tom deal with this battle? Well, with sheer, brilliant genius. And there's no better example of his unique brand of cleverness than that legendary story with the fence.
Mark Twain himself basically gives us the secret to Tom's strategy right here. See, it's not about getting out of work, it's about mastering human psychology. Tom figured out reverse psychology long before it was even a thing.
And here's the brilliant part, how he pulls it off. He makes this boring chore seem like an exclusive privilege. He doesn't just trick his friends, he actually convinces them that painting a fence is the coolest, most desirable thing you could possibly do. So he turns a punishment into a huge win, ending the day with a freshly painted fence and pockets just stuffed with treasures. It's just pure genius.
But Tom's rebellious streak wasn't just about outsmarting his aunt. His hunger for adventure quickly pulled him and his buddy Huck Finn away from just clever pranks and straight into some very, very real danger.
Now, at first, it's all still kind of in the world of make-believe. Tom, Huck, and their friend Joe run away to an island to live as pirates, and they're having a great time, right up until they find out the whole town thinks they've drowned. So what's their grand return? Oh, just casually walking into their own funeral service, turning everyone's sadness into just total, stunned shock.
And then the games just stop. It all gets terrifyingly real. Tom and Huck are in a graveyard late at night, trying some folk cure for warts, and they witness a grave robbery that turns into a full-blown murder. In one single moment, they go from kids playing games to being the only keepers of a deadly, terrifying secret.
And all of this leads to the ultimate terrifying climax. Tom and his crush, Becky Thatcher, get hopelessly lost in this gigantic maze-like cave. And as if that's not bad enough, Tom realizes they're not alone in there. The killer from the graveyard, Injun Joe, is hiding out in the dark too. This is the final test, where all the mischief is gone and it's just a desperate fight to survive.
So after all the mischief, the danger, and the close calls, you gotta ask, why are we still talking about this kid? What is it about this story that makes it so timeless, even after all this time?
Think about it. For nearly 150 years, people have been completely hooked by Tom's adventures. This isn't just some old book. It's become a core part of our cultural DNA. The reason it sticks with us is that Tom stands for ideas that just never get old. He's that part in all of us that questions authority, that dreams about freedom, and that when it really counts, finds the courage to do the right thing, like when he testifies in court to save an innocent man. He calls out the hypocrisy of adults while celebrating that pure, wild spirit of being young. And get this, Tom's fence painting scheme was so legendary that it actually inspired a real psychological concept. The Tom Sawyer syndrome is a term used in marketing and business to describe how you can motivate people by framing a boring task as some kind of high-status, exclusive opportunity. How cool is that?
Maybe Mark Twain himself said it best. Tom Sawyer isn't just a character. He's the embodiment of that chaotic, brilliant, and kind of wonderful madness that we call youth. He's a reminder of a time when the world felt huge and adventure was literally just around the next corner. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Tom's story sticks around because it reminds us of that little spark of rebellion and adventure that's somewhere inside all of us. makes you look back and ask yourself, what was my whitewashed fence? What was my own treasure map? And what adventure from my past is a story worth selling?